Alright guys, SweetleMyDeetle here, back with another video. So we're kind of piggybacking off my last terrace hunt video. I did do one in the past. That was kind of more of a basic one. I showed a few things, but we're going to get into a little more detail in this one. And I just want to touch on a few things for you guys to remember to have in ranked for future reference. Now, I do want to preface this video. I've had a lot of mixed opinions on whether I should make this video. I personally think that this is one of the steps that helped get me to the place where I'm at right now. If you guys didn't know, I hit diamond on 2 different accounts. I'm not saying that to boast. I'm just saying that this helped me to get to a higher level of play and to think about things while I'm playing to help me better get the win, get the kills, whatever is needed for the ultimate goal, which is the MMR. So what we need to talk about are a few different things. Now, I want to show you just a basic version of how I normally do T-Hunt, which if you guys watch at all my Twitch, you will know that I do this time and time again, day in, day out. And so basically what I'm doing here is my reticle at head level, and I'm basically just pushing through the terrace hunt and doing as best as I possibly can to maximize time. I'm not really trying to drone anything out. It's just strictly about going into terrace hunt and getting the headshots, or at least attempting to. If you miss heads, not a worry. But the goal of this activity is to warm up those fingers, you know, when you first start out during the day, as well as kind of get your reticle placement on point. You always want to be aimed at head level, because ultimately all you need is one headshot. So when I'm peeking around a corner, I will peek it one of 2 ways. If I know that the person is crouched or head level, then I'm going to peek accordingly. But as a general rule, I try to keep my reticle at about midway through the door. So that way I can easily adjust up or down depending on, you know, whether they're crouched or whether they're standing. This is a huge thing to get used to, and it's something I practice as I go through here. I know where these guys are going to be because I've done it a million times, and you will start to realize as well that you start to know where people are going to be. And this will help you with the reticle placement even more, because you're not going to know necessarily where people are unless you have a call out. Where specifically people are or what position they're sitting in. But knowing these common spots that they sit is going to help you practice that much easier, which is why I don't do it on, you know, harder expert terrace hunt, and I don't do it on different maps, because this is strictly just to get my aim kind of in the right general direction, and just to make sure that I have everything I need for me to be successful aim-wise, so that I can worry about my callouts and stuff. So, as you can see, I did that pretty quickly. I actually did it slower than normal. I can pretty much bang these out in like under a minute, usually. Which is why I think, again, this is an important thing to showcase, because a lot of people don't do this, and it doesn't take any time at all, but it really does help you with flicks, with aiming, etc. So, the biggest thing to take out of that is to do your terrace hunts really fast, as fast as you possibly can, without worrying about dying, because you can just restart it anyways. It's not like a normal game. And so that's something that you have to realize, that basically this is just a quicker way than to do it in game. I hear a lot of people say they practice or they warm up in game, which is okay, you do you, but this is personally what I think is better. So practice that head level and keep your crosshair placement accordingly. Now you can see when I do this as well that I do a lot of crouch and lean spamming, which I'm trying to get rid of that habit for a few reasons. Well, let's start with crouch spamming. Crouch spamming you see online time and time again in higher levels. It's only necessary in certain aspects. If you know you're gonna lose a battle and you're trying to throw off the person's aim, then that's totally fine. What I've gotten to the habit of doing is, even when I don't need to crouch spam, I crouch spam anyways, which is not good because it throws off my aim. Whereas my reticle might be in the center of their head, when I lean spam, it's gonna flick over. And unless I get the shot initially on their head, I'm most likely gonna lose the battle. So let's just say this ping is their head. If I'm aimed on their head right away and I don't do any shenanigans, crouch and lean spam, I'm gonna be on their head. But as you can see, if I lean and crouch spam, the bullets go all over the place. So unless I'm swiping and hitting their head randomly, I'm going all the way around the ping instead of hitting the ping. So something to keep in mind. I've been trying to stay away from that myself. So these are just little things that you can practice, and I suggest to practice maybe 15-20 minutes per day. I usually even do it longer, as you guys know, but some people don't have the time for that, so do whatever you can. I really think this will help you guys for future reference. Comment down below, tell me what you think, whether you think this helps or whether you do it your own way or what you do to warm up. Another thing I want to touch on is like a few drills that I do. I don't usually do them on my stream because people don't really want to see that. It kind of is just not as aesthetically pleasing just because I'm flicking back and forth and shit. So I'm gonna go through this real quick. So basically what I do is I do flick practice and I do recoil control practice. So I pick a gun that I would use normally in ranked, right? So I play Thatcher a lot, so I would pick this. I would pick Sledge, sorry. But only because he has the SMG-11, because I like to practice recoil with that as well. I'm trying to get better with the SMG-11, and Terrace Hunt is the perfect place to do it. You can change your reticle, you can change your attachments, and kind of find what's best for you, and then just practice the shit out of it, and before you know it, you can actually control it. I've had a lot of people ask me how I control the SMG-11 recoil, and I really couldn't until like recently. And I still am not perfect at it, you know, as you can see. It's definitely not perfect, but I am definitely better than when I was. So what I do here for recoil control is I pick a spot on the fence, right? So we'll pick this spot just because I kind of shot that one up. So pick a spot on the fence and just do your best to keep your bullet pattern as tight knit as possible. And I do it a few times at one specific spot, and then I back up a little bit, and then I try it at a little farther away. Make sure you got the general idea. So then I back up, try it again. And this is just practicing recoil control so that when you're in a gunfight, you can keep your pattern relatively close together, and it'll just in turn reward you a lot more headshots. So that's what we do here. Now I can't even back up anymore, but you guys get the idea. This is something you can do with any gun. I also do it with the SMG-11, like I said. I'm just not as good with the SMG-11. This is not really a full auto gun though, as you guys know. So what I usually do is just try to burst fire and keep it as close together as possible. And the same thing applies to this. I'm just backing up, burst firing, backing up, burst firing. And eventually you'll see that you can actually control the recoil because you know what it's going to do. Is it going to go up to the left? Is it going to go up to the right? Is it horizontal? Is it vertical recoil? Etc., etc. So this is something I do practice on a regular basis. I suggest you guys do so as well. Now, another thing that I want to mention is flick practice. So this is a good way to test whether your sensitivity is good enough for you. Obviously sensitivity is just like a personal preference thing, but you think you have your ideal sensitivity. Now we're going to put it to the test. So pick, you know, two objects in the background. We're going to use these trees for now just because they're relatively close together. You could use, you know, the two windows up here, or you could use I don't know, a few bushes or something. Doesn't matter what you use. Basically what you're trying to do is flick back and forth, and it won't let me ping it, but you can see these trees in the distance. So what I'm trying to do here is flick from one tree to the next. Now if I were to really over flick like so, then maybe I should turn my sense down, right? And if I were vice versa, if I were to under flick, so maybe I'm not quite hitting the trees, then I might want to turn my sensitivity up. Now, I personally have the sensitivity that I like, so I can do this pretty, you know, relatively quickly and accurately. Obviously, you're not going to have, like, a perfect flick every time, but this does test whether or not you can actually do it. So, one of the things that I would say is that these trees are kind of big in the distance. I might pick something that's smaller so that you have to aim, you know, more intricately. So maybe we take these two bushes here. And you can see they're a little farther apart, so I have to get used to it. But I can pretty much flick to their heads, so to speak. relatively quickly. You're never gonna be perfect. Obviously, it's never gonna be a perfect science. This dickhead's trying to kill me. But I will say that this helps a lot with trying to flick to people's heads. So I do this a lot as well in Terrace Hunt. Alright, so a few of the things that you can practice in Terrace Hunt that I think are necessary are knowing when to reload, knowing common angles, and using your sound accordingly. You know, don't reload right away. Just because you got a kill doesn't mean there isn't going to be one or even two enemies around the corner that you didn't know about that are going to push you because now they know your whereabouts and they're going to try to refrag for their teammate. I killed one guy and I immediately reloaded, right? Instead, you want to be able to use your clip to the fullest extent. Now, I'm potatoing here, but you can see I only had 2 bullets left when I reloaded there. I only reloaded when I absolutely needed to. And the other thing is, I see people doing this too much where they're out of bullets with their primary and they don't switch to their secondary. The reason why the secondary is there is so that you can switch to it without having to reload your main, and it might actually reward you with an extra kill. So get used to your pistol, get used to your SMG. Like I said, I'm still not perfect with the SMG-11. Sometimes I hit heads like crazy, other times I potato. Potatoing's okay because this is practice after all. We're not supposed to be perfect right now. So that is a huge thing that I think you should, you know, just implant in your mind, and I still have a hard time doing it sometimes because, you know, it's just like a Call of Duty, Halo, any of those games reaction where you just naturally want to reload after every kill to make sure you have the maximum amount of bullets. It's a smart thinking, but it's also going to hinder you in a lot of situations. So keep that in mind. The next thing is using sound accordingly. So if you can hear right now, in the background you can hear footsteps. And they're deep. So right now, I can hear that they're above me because they're deeper than normal footsteps. You can kind of hear a thump, 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 and that's when you know that they're above you. If they're right next to you, you're just going to hear normal footsteps like you can hear on my screen with Sledge right now. Like so. So, knowing whether they're above or below, obviously below is going to be a lighter sound, but you'll still be able to hear it. See how you can hear the deep thud right there? That's a perfect example of knowing, okay, someone's above me. Maybe they're trying to flank me. Maybe they're just trying to get in position. Whatever the case may be, I know that they're above me, so I know to walk up the stairs. And vice versa. Sounds that are below you are going to sound a little lighter than the sounds above you. They're more or less going to sound like, basically like they're on your level. So that's when it's going to take a little time and practice in order to differentiate the sounds. But this is a good example of, or a good spot to practice the sounds of the game and make sure that you know which one is which. Now, one thing that I can say is sound is weird in this game, and sound travels through the fastest point. So if I were to be next to a guy with a door closed, I'm going to hear him next to me. But it's going to be muffled. If there was a hole in the wall and he's next to me, he's going to sound like he's literally on top of me. So the sound travels through the hole instead of through, like, under the door or whatever the case may be, because it travels through the fastest possible direction. This is something to know as well, because if a hatch is open or if the floor is busted underneath you, it's going to sound like someone's right on your floor, but actually they might be below you, they might be above you. The sound isn't going to sound the same strictly because of the fact that you blew open a hole of some sort. So for vertical play and stuff, this is important to know. As well as, you know, if you open up a hatch and you're trying to play a hatch, just know that the sound's going to sound different. Last thing that I can say is I know specific angles. Like I said, I've done this a million times. I know specific angles on Terrace Hunt. So when I come into the kitchen, I already know, I have a general idea of where people are going to be. So you can see as I do this, I pre-fire a lot of angles. And that's because I know that specific people, like, for example, there's usually 3 people hidden in this room. So I sludge the barricade and I already know, you know, that people are going to be sitting in there. Or in this case, I know that there's going to be 3 people in this room. So now I'm holding the common angles from which they could come out of, which in this case is only the door. I know that there's going to be one posted up here, and then there's a few here. So I pre-fire this angle. Knowing the common angles will really help you. So this applies to every map, to every objective. This is just going to be a knowledge thing, and I'll go over more and give you specific examples for future reference as far as that goes. It's going to become with map knowledge and stuff, and where people like commonly hold angles. But I know a lot of times if a window's open, someone's going to be peeking it. You know, if I'm pushing in from a specific spot and I know the objective is to my right, there's most likely going to be someone peeking from the objective, but also someone peeking off the objective, maybe to my left. So knowing these common angles will definitely help you. And pre-firing does one of 2 things. It allows you to potentially get a kill that you wouldn't have normally, because you have your bullets already flying when you come around the corner, and the peeker's advantage helps you to get the kill. And it also will allow you to ingrain into your head what those common angles are, so for next time, like, I know I would have pre-fired here if it wasn't reinforced, because I know he's going to be sitting right on the other side of the reinforcement. So just have these things in your mind, not only when you're playing, but also when you're practicing, because practice makes perfect, and perfect practice makes perfect gameplay. That is definitely what we're going for, is to have the most flawless gameplay. I hope that these few things helped you. I really went to depth this time because I know it's a more advanced series. If you guys think I missed out on something, or like I said, if you do something different that I don't do, just let me know in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I could tell you how to do this all day. Unless you practice it, you won't be able to do it properly, and a lot of different things can factor into you practicing. So I'm not going to tell you one way or another to like how to do it, like what is the perfect practice, but this is what I do to start off my day at Siege, so that I can be as pristine of a shot as I possibly can be, and yield myself the most amount of kills and hopefully the most amount of dubs. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one.